How's it going, fellas, and welcome to the channel where I kick back, relax, and talk NBA 2K22. And today I want to teach you guys how to get an A+ in the Mycareer in NBA 2K22. So over the next few minutes, I'm going to be teaching you certain things you need on your build, what to do in-game, and what gives you the most Mycareer teammate grade. So if you do like that sort of stuff of tutorials and just teaching you guys how to play NBA 2K22 Mycareer, don't forget to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below any problems, any hassles that you're having with the Mycareer in NBA 2K22. Leave it in the comments below. I'll either make a video or I'll definitely answer ya. But anyway, guys, I've talked and raved long enough. Let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the things I do every single year. The first thing I do every year, fellas, is turn on teammate communication. It's in the coach's settings. Turn offense and defense on. This helps a lot, fellas, on defense especially. It's not that great on offense, but on defense it helps so much. It tells you how to play through a screen, whether to go over, under, whether the guy's going to hedge or drop or whatever. But it also tells you when to switch off ball, on ball. It doesn't matter. It will tell you when to switch. So if there's a screen and a pick and a guy gets taken out of the play from an off ball screen, you'll be able to switch and pick it up. It just comes up above your head. It's as simple as that, fellas. And when you are on offense, it'll just tell you when your teammates are open. Most of the time it's not very accurate, but it does work at times. But trust me, fellas, it helps a ton on defense. The next thing I want to talk about, fellas, is just play longer quarters. Until you get more minutes, playing longer quarters is great, because if you only play 5-6 minute quarters, you only get around 1 or 2 minutes. But if you play 12-minute quarters, you get around 5-10 minutes of play, which allows you to get more teammate grade. But it does go both ways, fellas, so no turning the ball over. The next thing I want to talk about is turn on the shot feedback for all shots. This helps so much because the AI does do a lot of very early releases or very late releases or early releases that are contested. And when you know that they're contested or a high chance of missing, you run the floor, fellas. Run the transition offense. Hit the corners. Run to the basket. The best is to run through the middle of the court over halfway, so the AI thinks that you're running towards the basket, then hit the corner. If there is a mismatch on you, like a center or a power forward, you're open pretty much every single time. But if there is a guard on you, they have nerfed it this year. They have actually patched it where the guards will actually come out to the perimeter on transition offense or transition defense, whatever you want to call it. But it helps a lot when trying to rebound the ball because you know when the ball's going to miss. So the next thing I want to talk about is certain things you need on your build. Speed with ball and quick first step is a must. It really is, fellas. These are the first things that you need to upgrade on your character. Speed with ball, quick first step have to be upgraded ASAP because it makes it a lot easier to get yourself open. You don't have to rely on screens as much to get open, which is a great thing because the quick first step will help you so much just beating your defender off the dribble. It really will, fellas. I know the AI is hard this year, but you will get through it if you have a fast speed with ball and a fast quick first step, because that helps a ton. And you do need an 80 ball handle, fellas. This is needed for pro dribble moves, and you want the behind the back. Look at the one I've got. I'll try and put it in the video somewhere of which one I actually have. I can't remember which one I chose. It was pro free in the older ones, but I'm not quite sure what it is in NBA 2K22. But look how many times I beat Kyrie Irving in this video just from a simple behind the back. I have it at 86, fellas, but the more the better. The higher that you have ball handle, the faster this dribble move will be and the easier for you to beat defenders. So the next thing I want to talk about when it comes to certain things is an 83 ball, fellas. I've got an 83 ball at the moment and I'm green in pretty much most shot, but it was because of my jump shot. I was struggling at the start. I had a 98 base with Steph and Dirk. The jump shot I used in 2K20, but I was struggling big time, fellas. Struggling. But once I changed to this jump shot that I'm about to tell you in a second, it changed the game for me. So I used jump shot 98 with Trey Burke, both releases, 75 speed. You can push it up to 100, and a 50-50 blending. I know the blending when you have the same releases doesn't really mean anything, but I just put it at 50-50 for shits and gigs. So the next thing I want to talk about is what to do in game. Quick isolation, fellas. So hitting left on the D-pad, and then I think going down 2 is quick isolation. This will help a ton. There is basic plays like give and goes and setting screens and stuff like that, but you don't really need any of that stuff. You can do the set screens one because it has a play behind it, but other than that, you just want quick isolation, fellas, which will allow the AI just to spread the floor. So it'll give you a one-on-one against your defender, then just use your quick first step, which helps so much this year. To activate quick first step, you just need to do a dribble move, and you always need to run to the hand of the ball, like where the ball is. So if the ball's in your right hand, you run to the right hand side after a dribble move. If the ball's in your left hand, after a dribble move, you run to the left. If you ever want to do a quick change, you've got to flick the right stick after the dribble move. Don't hold anything, flick the right stick, then run with turbo. Because if you flick it, say the ball's in your left hand and you want it to be in your right hand quickly, you just flick the right stick quickly and then run. It's all you got to do, fellas, but just always run to the hand of the ball. That's how you activate quick first step. So the next thing I want to talk about is what to do in game. Is creating mismatches is just so important this year. It really is, fellas. If you create a mismatch, if the big is on you, call for a quick isolation ASAP. You're gonna burn him. If you have speed with ball at about 80, 85, you'll be fine. You'll be able to just activate that quick first step. Like I said, always run to the ball hand. Just do a simple little hezzy, simple little snatch back and run to the ball hand, and it'll work every single time, fellas. Not every single time, unless you've got a really good defender like a Joel Embiid or something like that. It will work a lot of the time, fellas, because your guard will just speed past him every single time. And if the big is in the paint on the little fella, throw it into him. Let the big guy bully the little fella in the paint, because it will happen 9 out of 10 times. It won't happen every single time, but there's a good chance that it's a free 2 points if you just expose mismatches. So the next thing I want to talk about is screens, fellas. The best thing to do this year to get open is screens. It really is, fellas. To start a screen, you just want to hold the L1 button, which will bring the closest big man to you. But if you want a different player, you can just tap the L1, then hold the icon above the player that you want's head, and that will start a pick and roll. To activate the pick and fade, you want to hit R1, so that'll take the big man out to the 3 instead of rolling to the basket and things like that. If you want to change which side the pick and roll's on, which is a huge thing to do, but is hit R3. So and why that is such a big deal, fellas, is because a lot of the time you want to run to the side where only one defender is, because a lot of the time if you run to the side with 2 defenders, that second defender will come across and steal the ball and knock it with a bump steal. So if you can choose which side the screen goes on by hitting the R3 button, you can choose which side they're weak on. So you can go to that side. If there's only one defender on the left side, set the screen to the left and run around it that way. Setting the screen on each particular side is so important. It really is, fellas, because if you can just create that little bit of more space for your player to run around, it makes a ton of difference. So if you do want to set a screen for the ball handler, it works best at the top of the key, fellas, or at the hash. Let the teammate go around the screen and just react to that. Do you fade? Do you roll? If you do want to set a screen for a teammate, just hold circle next to the player and the CPU or the AI will do the rest. Alright, fellas, this is going to be hard to explain. I'll try my best, but the biggest thing that you need to know about screens is seeing what your defender does when he hits the screen. If he just goes through the screen with pick dodger, there's not a lot you can do. You've just got to take the L and set another screen and hope that you get a different animation, because if they get the pick dodger animation where they just crab past him and it doesn't really stop him at all, you're kind of screwed. But if it does take the player out of the play, you'll see it. He'll hit the screen and then he'll sort of drop to a knee and drop his hand to the ground. That's when you want to shoot. If the big hasn't hedged, you want to shoot the ball. But if the big has hedged, you want to keep running, because you will outspeed him every single time. And it's an easy basket a lot of the time, fellas. You do need a little bit of slashing to make this work, but it does work a lot. If the big does hedge, try hezzy, because all that will do is just stop you in your tracks and let you reevaluate, because a lot of the time the big will just hedge and then go back to the big, which leaves you open for a narrow window, fellas. It's only a small window this year, but it will help. Trust me, fellas, running around screens and just seeing what the defender does is how you beat the screens. If the defender hits the screen and goes over the screen, you know to keep running. If he goes closest to you. So he hits the screen and goes around the screen that is closest to you. You want to keep running. If he goes the other way, let it fly. If he goes under the screen, let the ball fly, fellas. It all comes down to what the defender does, the animation that he gets when he hits the screen. So the next thing I want to talk about, if they play sides, fellas. If they play sides, my God, this works and works and works every single time. Just hold L1, bring that screen over, and just wait a few seconds for your big to roll. He'll take a couple of seconds, but he will roll eventually, and it's a free basket every single time. The only time that this won't work is if they take a few steps back, and that's when you have to keep running around the screen. If the big man of the defensive team has taken a few steps back and isn't playing sides, you can't do this. But if he is playing sides, it works every single time. So you'll see if a big has taken 2 steps back and is in between the basket and your big guy, you don't want to do this. But if he's stepped up and is completely on the side of the screen, so they're actually playing sides, this will work pretty much every single time. So the next thing I want to talk about is what gives you the highest teammate rating. Assists, fellas. Passing the ball again helps so much. Just doing a simple pass might give you a pass to assist, or even a good pass that adds a little bit to your teammate grade, but assists add a ton. But there is a problem, fellas. It's a risky business trying to be a point guard this year with how much they steal. It's risk and reward. The AI can steal anything out of the air, fellas, from here, there, and everywhere. It does not matter. So making the right pass is so important this year. Be patient and make the right pass, fellas, because the AI will make the shots. You make the right pass and they will hit 8 out of 10 open threes because they're greening this year, fellas. They actually can make shots, and that's the next thing I want to talk about. If your AI is greening, you need to green as well, because greening shots this year gives you a lot of teammate grade this year, which is a good thing for us shooters, because you never really used to get teammate grade for doing a good shot. Yeah, you used to get a little bit, but you didn't really get a lot. And now that you actually get a decent amount for greening shots, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to get a teammate grade from being a shooter. So the next thing I want to talk about is just setting screens. Setting screens will give you a little bit, but if you keep doing it over and over and over again, it all adds up, fellas. And then when your teammates can score off the screen, it will give you a big boost like an assist or like a green perfect release. But the problem is you have to rely on the AI to score, fellas, and that can be a huge problem, because as soon as they run around the screen, they just drive to the basket. And you've seen paint defense in this game. It's not a good thing for a little guy just to be driving to the basket 9 out of 10 times. It will get sent into the 4th row time and time and time again. So the last thing I want to talk about is just a few final thoughts, fellas. The AI has been overhauled this year. It is a lot harder, and I don't mind that. It does punish free-flowing basketball at times, which I'm not a fan of, but I like the challenge. I like having to learn what the AI does and how to beat it. That's what I enjoy of the Mycareer, and to have the AI somewhat difficult makes it exciting for me. It actually makes me want to play the game. Once I throw it on Hall of Fame, I'll really test the AI to see if they're actually better than the superstar, because a lot of the times the difficulty doesn't really change, and I'm hearing that people are struggling on pro, and I don't know why, because it's not really that hard. But this year, it just actually feels more like an NBA game than seeing how many points my player can score. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I can score heaps and heaps and heaps, and it's going to turn into the same game once I learn how to beat all the AI, and once I get to a higher overall, because I'm only a low overall, fellas. So once I get all my badges and my attributes, it's a GG for the AI. But anyway, guys, I've talked and raved long enough. If you do like this tutorial on how to get an A+ in the Mycareer in NBA 2K22, don't forget to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below. Any problems, any hassles, anything that you're having trouble with when it comes to the Mycareer in NBA 2K22, leave it all in the comments below. But anyway, guys, I've talked and raved long enough. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch yous later.